こんにちは。
I'm Aoi, Aoi です。
I'm Dalton, ダルです。
こちらはバイリンガル形式でお届けするポッドキャストアカウントです。
Thanks for catching me there. And today we're going to be talking about books that we read recently, right? Or recently-ish, or just ones that we want to share.
最近読んだ本を紹介してみたいと思います。
Yes. So first of all, before we get into the specific books, do you read a lot?
私結構同じ本を何回も読む変わってる人なんですけど、そうだね、読む大好き。読書の時間は、元気をもらえるし。
What kind of books do you normally read?
やっぱり今は英語勉強中だから英語のやつは読んでて、日本語のやつは結構ストーリーものが多いかも。
Like fiction or non-fiction?
フィクションは作られてるのだよね。
Yeah, fiction is quote-unquote fake, not real.
Yeah, I like non-fiction one.
Yeah?
なんかいろんな人の経験談とかストーリーを聞いてるのがすごく楽しくて。
Yeah?
How about you?
I also read quite a bit. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that I read is not the kind of stuff that people probably care to like hear someone talk about on a podcast like this. But generally speaking, I like a lot of classics. I like a lot of like mysticism and metaphysics. I like quantum mechanics. I like myths. So, you know, like Dune and the Arthurian legends and Faust and that kind of thing. I like a lot of different types of books, but I read a lot as well. So I think today we're each going to share maybe 3 books that we read kind of recently.
そう、3個。
Do you want to start? You want to do the first one?
ですね。これにしよう。私が何度も読んでいるハグとながらでby浜田マハさんですね。
浜田マハさん。
はい。ちょっと私も今噛みそうになったんだけど、この本は何度見てもなんかすごく泣いちゃう本で、一言で言うと最高。ごめん。この本を紹介すると、本の紹介やったことないからさ。
It's okay. Well,
何から言えばいい？
Yeah, don't give any like ネタバレ, but like
軽いディテール言うね。
Yeah, like what did you like about it?
この本は仕事、恋愛を失った旅をする40代の女性の本。
Yeah.
で、
And it's a real story, right?
Yeah, it's a real story で、女性の方2人の旅ストーリーなんだけど。
で、日本人でしょ。
はい。なんかこの主人公になっているハグさん側の心をずっと書いてってるんだよね。この本は。で、そのハグさんのお母さんの話とかも出てくるんだけど、なんか私はそのお母さんのところでいつももう号泣しちゃうの、なぜか。泣くポイントなのか、なんかなんかそういうのをあえて言葉使ってるのかわからないんだけど、私の心にはすっごく刺さるの。で、今こうやってさ、家族と離れてるのもあるけど、自分のお母さんと重ねてるのか、何なのかすっごく涙が出てきちゃうのね、この本。あ、ごめん、葵すっごく下手かもしれない、本紹介。
No, not at all. I think that was great.
新しいブック結構、なんかコロナのことも書いてあるとか。
The last couple of years.
そう。チェックしてください。
Please. My turn?
はい。
So, as I said in the introduction, there's a lot of different styles of books that I read. And recently I've been reading a lot of anthroposophy, which is not something I think most people are going to be interested in hearing about. So I'm not going to share those books. But I will share some other stuff that I've read recently. One is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. So Rick Rubin is a very famous producer. He basically works with bands and musical groups and helps finish their music. He's like a creative director and a bunch of other stuff. But and he's worked on all kinds of other projects as well. But he's worked with very, very famous people and is now himself a very, very famous person in the industry. And he wrote a book basically about the way of feeling and thinking and acting and being that is conducive to, that creates creation, basically. What does a creative person experience while they're creating, right? So
難しい。
it's a really good book for any type of artist, whether you are a musician or an illustrator or a writer, a poet, a painter, anything.
いろんなジャンルの
Yeah.
職種の方に。
And it's basically like a guidebook of like
へー
the kinds of things that an artist will experience along their journey and how to deal with them and how to be more creative and how to be more consistently creative and how to enjoy creating. Yeah, it's a really amazing, well-written, concise and short kind of guidebook on being more creative. Do you know what the word creative means?
うん、作り上げる。
Yeah. 創造的. Not 創造 as in like imagine,
う
but
ん、
yeah.
像は作るの方なんで
Right,
すね。
exactly. So it's basically,
面白
yeah. I thought it was a really good book and I would recommend it to any artist of any type, especially if you have an interest in things like Buddhism,
い。ああ、
because it has a lot of similarities to, like he definitely was pulling from Buddhism and Hinduism with some of the stuff he was talking about in there.
仏教の教えから。
Yeah.
なるほど。
It's not actually explicitly written in there, but you know, a lot of the ideas around like the self and being and flow and that kind of stuff comes from there.
どう思う？日本語バージョンあると思う？
If there is, I would love to read it. So we should actually look that up. Because if there's a Japanese version, please get me that for Christmas.
じゃあ探しとこう、あとね。じゃあ2冊目。心配しない方がうまくいく。今を一番楽しんで生きよう。金森うら子さんの本です。金森うら子さんの漢字が、読み方見たら全然読めたんだけど、
お金。
もる、うら子。
うん。
だけど最初、これどうやって読むんだろうと思って。今ちょうどググっちゃった。この本は昔一緒に過ごしていたファミリーからもらった本で、いただいた本で、なんかすごく、こういう時どうするっていうのが書いてある。なんだろう。
Yeah.
アドバイスをくれる本。例えばセクション1だったら、努力しないと幸せになれないの？なんかもっと楽しんでいいんだよみたいなことが書いてたり、あとは、今を楽しむと、その場しのぎに生きるはどう違うの？とかって教えてくれることがあって、なんか目の前に90歳の先輩、人生の先輩が座ってて私が質問したことを教えてくれるみたいな、
Yeah.
なんだろう、いい本なんだよ、本当に。
Yeah.
私大好き、こういう本。
That's awesome.
心理系のやつ。
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
あ、しかもね、このね、金森さん、東京心理教育研究所所長っていう、なんかその、
Yeah.
やっぱりそういう、
やっぱり。
そういう。
The cover is also really cute.
ね、いい色だよ
It's got
ね。
like these cute little like drawings all over it.
いや、で、そしてさ、この人ね、結構いろんな本を出してるの、似たような。
Oh, really?
大丈夫、きっとうまくいく。自
Mm.
分だけを許して愛する方法とかっていうのとか、
Yeah.
大切なのは愛を感じることとか、なんかこう、なんか当たり前だけど忘れがちな、
Mm.
なんだろう、心に届く言葉をなんだろう、伝えてくれる、ストレートに。
That's awesome.
うん。おすすめです。
おすすめです。I haven't read it, but おすすめです。
1300円です。
Not at book off.
そう、ブックオフだったらね、い
Yeah.
くらだろうね。
Yeah.
行きたいね。
I
次
can't
誰
wait.
か。
So, another one for me, somewhat recently. Should I do a Japanese book or an English book?
どっちでもいいよ。
Okay, well, recently, while I was on vacation, I brought with me The Alchemist,
青も読んだね、それ。
but I brought along the Japanese version. Forgive me, I don't speak Portuguese, but his name is spelled like Paulo. Paulo Coelho or something like that?
そう、パウロ・コエリョ。
Yeah, maybe I'm just remembering the katakana or something, but yeah. It's originally written in Portuguese. It was translated into a bunch of languages. I read it in English many, many years ago, and I thought it was pretty good. And then I got into alchemy and all kinds of other stuff and learned more about it and decided I wanted to reread it because now I would have a new perspective on it after I'd studied the history of alchemy.
これどこでゲットしたの？日本語バージョンの本は。
I think I ordered it on like Amazon.
あ、本当？
Yeah, but I think it shipped from some bookstore in Japan.
Okay.
But yeah, so I started reading the Japanese version. Unfortunately, I did not completely finish it yet because, like you, it moves a little bit slower for me in Japanese than it does in English.
ね
And it feels...
しかも結構難しい本だよね。難しいという
You
か
think so?
こう、内容の濃い本だからさ、なんか、あ、痛かったねとかっていうなんか絵本と違って、なんていうの？
I know what you're saying, but I feel like the phrasing of it is very simple, right? It's like, you know, the boy grabbed the cane and said this to the sheep or whatever. It's not like some crazy poem, like...
そうだね。ストーリーだもんね。
Yeah, or like even, to me at least personally, there's more complicated grammar in like a newspaper than there is in a book like that.
そうだね。
Like it's written relatively simply. It's mostly just vocab. If you know all the vocab, then it's fine.
私もこの本好き。
Yeah, really?
覚えてるよ。
Yeah. So it's got a lot of really good lessons built into it. It's got a lot of interesting inquiries. It's kind of fantasy. It's kind of like mystery. It's kind of philosophy. It's a lot of stuff.
一応カタカナで言う？カタカナバージョンで言う？
アルケミスト。
Yeah.
アルケミスト。Definitely recommend it. It's short. It's very good. And if you're looking for like a fiction story that still feels like you're learning something, you're getting a lot out of it, definitely highly recommend it.
私の3個目のブックは
最後目
3個目のもうダメだ。もうダメ。私の3個目のブックは、眠れる夜はケーキを焼いて、by 午後。
This one's cute.
afternoon を日本語で午後って書くけど、英語では、let's go の go。
That's cute.
眠れぬ夜はケーキを焼いては、タイトルの通りに、なんかケーキを作るお話の方なんだけど、ただケーキのレシピが載ってるだけじゃなくて、その主人公っていうのかな、そのベースのキャラクターが狼なんです。
What did you like about it?
Makes me, wanna make something.
Wanna make something? Like food?
Yeah.
Oh.
デザート。
He like makes cake and stuff in that?
そう、この中でレシピ載ってるのさ。例えばこの狼が例えば、今日はどんな日だった？だからこれを作ってみようって言ったら全部、こうやってレシピが書いてあるの。
So is this supposed to be like a recipe book just in manga form or is it like mostly a comic book?
これは、
That just happens to have
混ざってんじゃないかな、全部。
That's cool.
そう、なんかストーリー、レシピ、コミック、
Yeah.
そうで材料、で最後にレシピメモが載ってたり、お菓子作りが好きな女の子とかには特におすすめです。可愛いしね、色。
Yeah, I really love that type of art where like they could have just made a recipe book, you know? And they didn't. They made this awesome, like cute, well-designed like comic with all kinds of stuff going on.
本当にそういうのかっこいいと思う。てかね、今気づいたんだけど、これ午後じゃん。多分これ朝バージョンもあるんじゃない？私まだ調べてないからわかんないけど、なんかこれ太陽とか書いてあってさ、これ月書いてあるけど、なんか午後ってこんなに目立たせてるし、午前の眠たい朝はケーキを焼いてみたいな。わかんない。ありそうじゃない？
Yeah, I suppose so. It could. Definitely could.
わかんない。このシリーズちょっとこれから調べてみよ
う。Yeah.
おすすめです。お値段は1150円だけど、アメリカの紀ノ国屋で買ったから18ドル。 だから1900円ぐらい
Yeah.
でした。
Nice. Thanks for sharing. It's a good one. I think it's my turn for one more, right?
最後。
So let's see. There's a lot of things, but one that's coming to mind right away was a recent purchase from a local bookstore that has a lot of old books, and it's a very short, old book. So I apologize for most people. I don't speak Italian, but the title is something along the lines of Li Allegro, and it's a 2 poems written by John Milton. And John Milton, who many people may know, is a very, very, very famous poet. He wrote Paradise Lost, which is one of the most famous books on the planet, in the history of the earth. But
その人が書いた本?
Yes, it's basically just some short verse, and it's really interesting because the book is actually a pair of 2 poems. And if you read it from right to left, it's one of the poems, and then you have to flip the book upside down and read it the other way, and it's the other poem. But it only goes to halfway through the book.
あ、なるほどね。
Yeah.
それでワークするのか。
But it's a really beautiful pairing of poems. It's like one is dedicated to mirth, the other to melancholy. So it's kind of like a growing and a dying, and like a sun and a moon, like kind of like duality.
Right.
So,
duality?
Yeah, using a lot of big words, sorry. It's a beautiful poem, and I really enjoyed it. That's all I'm saying.
ないね、日本語は。
Yeah, ないね。ごめんなさい。
作ってください。
作ってください。
翻訳バージョン。あなた作ってください。
That's one thing that has always been really interesting to me in the language difference is there isn't really verse and rhyme in the same way in Japanese, you know? And that's one of my favorite things about language is verse and rhyme in poetry. And it just takes a very different form in Japanese, which is also beautiful and amazing.
それこそなんかこうやってさ、翻訳のお仕事があったりさ、なんか映画とか見ててもさ、今どっちの欄が一番まあなんとなく理解できるようになったら、あ、こうやって訳すとかさ、思うのが楽しいよね。
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking over at the shelf right now and I have a whole section of my shelf just dedicated to one book that I have like 10 different translations of.
ね、そういうの集めてるよね。
Yeah, Goethe's Faust. So if there's a book that is translated, say like The Divine Comedy or something like that, please don't give up on it just because the translation that you originally saw is really silly and you don't like it. Look for a different translation and maybe it'll be better. And that applies to Japanese too.
そうだね。
So
あ、ブックオフ行きたいです。
Yes, me too.
ブックオフって英語の本どのくらい置いてたんだろ
う？ I don't know. When I was there, I wasn't really looking for English books. So
私も見てなかった。きっとでもあるよね。ここで日本語の本探して見つかる量よりはあるよね。
Yeah, it's true. There's definitely not a lot of Japanese books here. But there's not none. A lot of the bookstores we go to have at least a couple.
またやろう、本の紹介。
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll share some more like a theme next time or something.
なんか私は Kindle をゲットしてちょっと今故障中だけどKindle あったらもう何でも読めるからみんなおすすめを教えてください。
Yes. Thank you all for listening.
ありがとうございました。
What are your favorite books? What books are you reading right now or have you read recently?
インスタグラムとかで教えてください。
Yes. And I would love to have another episode soon about maybe some of our favorite books, not just what we've read recently.
はい、そうしましょう。
Thanks for listening.
さようなら。
さようなら。